Hello and welcome. This is Professor Tom Laughlin once again in the Department of Theater and Dance, getting ready to give you an interview with these three people you're seeing. To your left, Charlotte Foster. In the middle, Scott Malkovski. And on the right, Mark Reeve. And they're getting set to open up the play Fuddy, which opens up this Friday, November 6th in the Bartlett and runs for the next 2 weekends. And as usual, I'm sitting behind the camera because we don't have enough room to put all four of us in and make it look good. So I'd rather have the good-looking people in there than me. So welcome, guys. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. And let's get right down to it. Why don't we start with Mark, because we've never heard from Mark before, and he'll give us the plot of the play, and then we'll go across the room and sort of give us a character breakdown for each of the characters you're playing.
Sure. So the plot of the play?
Yeah, the plot.
Basically, Charlotte, who's playing Claire, wakes up at the very beginning of the play and discovers that she has a rare form of amnesia. Her husband, Richard, played by Steve Brockman, comes in and he kind of like starts her day out of a cannon, explaining everything about her life and just kind of throwing all this information at her in this one scene, telling her what she likes, what she doesn't like, because she wakes up, she doesn't even know whether she likes coffee or juice, and that's one of the decisions he makes for her, kind of in that first scene. And then at the end of that, she is abducted by a man in a ski mask who has a limp and speaks with a lisp and is deaf in his right ear, which is played by me. So he takes her away, claiming that her husband is going to kill her, and that he's extremely dangerous and she needs to go with him. Bringing her to her mother, Gertie's house, and there we learn that there are actually many more secrets than we thought. Turns out my character is in cohorts with this guy here, Millet, and his puppet, Hinky-Binky. And I won't tell you too much, but like a lot of secrets unfold. People aren't all who they say they are, and people's intentions aren't all what they claim to be.
This is a comedy, right?
It is, but there's a lot of dramatic elements intertwined into the comedic scenes. Yeah.
All right. And Scott, tell us about the character you're playing, and of course we can't help but notice your puppet, so we'll talk a little bit about that too.
I play Millet, who is really like probably the nicest character in the show. He's the only one who hasn't actually done anything wrong. No. He was kind of like framed. He's had a hard life. Things aren't really going well for him. And he had a very hard childhood, which caused him to create sort of a second personality of sorts, which would be Binky here. And I help him out.
Okay. I noticed that you're not even bothering to try to be a ventriloquist with Binky's voice. It's just you're just using a higher pitched voice.
I do what I can.
Well, it's no professional.
All right, that's fair enough. And Charlotte?
Hi. My name is Charlotte Foster. I play Claire in the show, and Claire, obviously, as Mark explained, wakes up in the morning not knowing anything about herself other than she is a human being who eats, sleeps, and uses the bathroom. And that's about it. Her husband, Richard, really gives her all the information. Mark kind of explained most of it, but poor Claire is really just trying to understand everything. But throughout the whole show, really, she's very, very chipper, and she's very positive about her life and what's going on, and everything's an adventure to her until, of course, bad things happen, and then she's got to kind of put her foot down. But for the most part, she's a very positive woman, and she kind of treats everything like an adventure, which is kind of creates the fun house aspect of the show. She's a big part, and you'll see how that comes into play. But keep that in mind, that it's almost like a fun house.
It's almost like a big fun house. Is that what you're saying?
You never know what's going to happen. Things may be a little off kilter. Things may be a little wacky, but they can also be quite funny.
As I understand it, each of the characters seems to have a quirk or an oddity about them, which creates a sort of a different reality. Can you tell me, as actors, how the challenges you've had to face to make that work? Maybe we'll start with you, Scott, because you've got the puppet. I'm sure that's enough. Yes.
Yeah. Like I didn't realize how much work a sock puppet would be before the show. Because really, I have to pay attention where he's looking all the time and what he's doing all the time, along with what I'm doing. And we both have to be mentally present, so to speak, the entire show. And it's been a great challenge.
So in other words, what you're telling me is you actually have to keep the puppet as alive as yourself, or you're doing two things at once.
I'm doing two things.
Yeah, did you do any research to help you out, like, with puppeteers or people who have ventriloquist acts or something like that? I mean, that is sort of quite a challenge.
I basically I took the rehearsal Binky home with me, and I just practiced the way his mouth moved, and I tried to sync it up as good as I could while still making it Millet in control, who's maybe not... I took him to the campus grind.
Oh, yes, okay.
I ordered coffee for him! He even made Binky here give her the card with his mouth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and how was that received?
She looked at me weird.
Okay. I suppose that's the case. Mark, your character, what are the eccentricities, and how did you work to handle those, get those to work?
Well, he limps. He has a limp in his right leg. He is deaf in this year, so I always have to be thinking about that as an obstacle as well, because that's really the only obstacle that he has that kind of isn't physically present to fight against. Like, I've got the limp, and I've got to fight against the limp, and also he speaks with a lisp, and so fighting against the lisp is something that's tangible as well. And so kind of figuring out times when, like, I might not quite catch something that somebody said is just kind of like, that was a little challenging, getting more specific with his issues there. But man, some of the lines, I feel like David Lindsay Bear purposely wrote in some tongue twisters for somebody who had to speak an entire show with a lisp there.
Oh,
like
okay.
Yeah.
So you think actually the play was constructed purposefully to do that?
Yeah, some of his lines, I'm sure, he was just like, how many S's can we throw in there? And it's like it becomes a tongue twister sometimes.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good. And